or MPSC or government services preparations. But I read just because I like to, so I read the pages which I find colorful enough and attractive enough to read. It includes first page, sometimes the state news of Maharashtra, and also the world section of the Indian Express. So it's of Wednesday, December 10, 2025. The headline says Opposition seeks return to paper ballot. Rahul questions immunity to election commissions. Given by Manoj C.G. and Vikas Pathak, New Delhi, December 9. Seizing the parliament grand stage to raise questions on the impartiality of the election commission, the opposition Tuesday demanded a return to paper ballot and an amendment in the law that deals with the appointment of the chief election commissioner and election commissions, and picked holes in the special intensive revision of voter rolls underway in several states. The Lok Sabha discussion on electoral reforms was less about suggestions of meaningful reforms and more about scoring political points, with opposition and treasury benches hurling charges at each other. The opposition, which wanted a discussion on the SIR but agreed tactically to the broader topic of electoral reforms, alleged that the Election Commission was working at the behest of the BJP government and that there was huge mistrust and lack of transparency in the election process itself. Incidentally, there were some divergences, tactical silences. While most opposition parties demanded a return to paper ballot, the TMC and the NCP-SP were silent on that aspect. Again, a disclaimer which I gave even yesterday and I guess even day before yesterday. All the articles of the first page of the newspaper are just 20%, are just 25%. The rest 75% is given on second page. But again, I truly don't like to read the second thin paper. The reason why I just read the first and grab the 25% primary or IMP news, which I prefer, just to know. Also, I'm not going to implement this news to somewhere, so this incomplete information won't be hazardous or dangerous for me. The next title is BJP allies hit back those who stifled stifled democracy, now claiming to be its protectors. Article has been given by Express News Service, New Delhi, December 9. The BJP and its allies on Tuesday mounted a defense of the special intensive revision of electoral rolls during a discussion in the Lok Sabha on electoral reforms, even as they avoided directly shielding the election commission that is currently facing sustained opposition criticism. Instead, the Treasury benches turned the debate into a political indictment of the Congress, accusing it of undermining institutions, corrupting electoral practices, and crying foul back and crying foul because of its inability to win elections. The next title is Government Orders Indigo to Cut Domestic Flight Schedule by 10%, given by Sukalp Sharma, New Delhi, December 9. The government on Tuesday ordered Indigo to reduce its domestic schedule by at least 10%, doubling the curtailment from the 5% that the Directorate General of Civil Aviation had ordered following network-wide disruptions which lead to scores of flights cancellations on a daily basis since the middle of last week. The decision was communicated by the Ministry of Civil Aviation in a meeting with Indigo CEO Peter Elbers. Indigo is largest Indigo is India's largest airline with a domestic market share of nearly 65% and its schedule has over 2,300 daily flights, around 2,150 of which are domestic flights. A 10% curtailment in domestic flights would mean that its daily scheduled flights within the country would come down to less than 1,950. According to sources, the freed up slots may be offered to other carriers if they have additional capacity that can be deployed. The ministry considers it necessary to curtail the overall Indigo routes, which will help in stabilizing the airline's operations and lead to reduced cancellations. A curtailment of 10% has been ordered. While amid while abiding with it, Indigo will continue to cover all its destinations as before, Civil Aviation Minister K. Rammohan Naidu said in a post on Twitter. Naidu said Airbus was summoned to the ministry to provide an update on the airline's stabilization measures. During the last week, many passengers faced severe inconvenience due to Indigo's internal mismanagement of crew rosters, flight schedules, and inadequate communication. While the inquiry and necessary actions are underway, another meeting with Indigo's top management was held to review the stabilization measures. Today again, Indigo's 6E CEO Peter Airbus was summoned to the ministry to provide an update. He confirmed that 100% of the refunds for flights affected till 6th December have been completed. A strict instruction to expedite the completion of the remaining funds, refunds, and baggage handover was given, Naidu said. The next title is to fund Hydel project. NHPC proposed its forest land assets as collateral. Government said no. Article has been given by Jay Mazumdar, New Delhi, December 9. The Environment Ministry has turned down a NHPC proposal to use assets located on forest land as collateral to raise funds for the Subansiri Lower Hydel project, which is facing an over 300% cost escalation. The project is located on the Arunachal Pradesh-Assam border. Official records show that NHPC requested for an NOC for using the assets located on the forest land for collateral purpose for raising funds from the financial institutions to meet the capital expenditure of Lower Subansiri hydroelectric project, and the Arunachal Pradesh government subsequently sought a clarification from the ministry on the matter. The Environment Ministry, according to a letter seen by the Indian Express, examined NHPC's proposal to mortgage assets on diverted forest land and ruled that it is not tenable under the provisions of the Forest Conservation Act, now known as the Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiyam 1980 is known as Forest Conservation Act, now known as Van Adhiniyam 1980. The ministry's October 10 letter to the Arunachal Pradesh government said a collateral purpose refers to a secondary purpose beyond the principal object for which the forest land was approved for non-forestry use under the Act. The next title is US negotiators in Delhi for talks today. Trump threatened US negotiators in Delhi for talks today. Trump threatens tariffs on Indian rice. Article has been given by Ravi Datta Mishra, New Delhi, December 9. As US negotiators headed to India for 2 days of talks to try and seal a trade deal, President Donald Trump threatened fresh tariffs on Indian rice, citing concerns over rice dumping in the US market. Washington has already imposed 50% tariffs on Delhi, the highest on any country globally. At a roundtable in the White House, when a Louisiana based farmer representative said they are struggling due to the dumping of rice in the US by countries such as India, China, and Thailand. Trump said countries should not be dumping rice in the US and that tariffs will solve the problem. Picking only India among the three countries named by the farmer representative, Trump asked US Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, why is India allowed to do that? Why have to pay tariffs? Do they have an exemption on rice? When Bessent said the US was still working on a trade deal with India, Trump said, but they, India, should not be doing that. He has heard this from others and he'll get it settled. Tariffs solve the problem in 2 minutes. The next title is BJP Shiv Sena reached truce in meeting between CM and Shinde to contest municipal polls as Mahayuti. The article has been given by Vallabh Ozarkar, Mumbai, December 9. After more than a month of bitter clashes and visible tension during the local body elections, the BJP and the Eknath Shinde lead Shiv Sena seem to have decided to put aside their differences and contest the upcoming municipal corporation polls together, including those to the high-profile Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation and Thane Municipal Corporation. Sources in the Mahayuti called the step a renewed effort by the Sena and BJP to present a united front ahead of what are considered politically crucial urban polls. The breakthrough, according to the sources, came after a 1.5 hour closed door meeting between Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde late Monday. The sources said the discussions were positive, with both parties agreeing to contest municipal elections across Maharashtra, including in Mumbai and Thane and other parts of the state as the Mahayuti. Local level discussions to finalize seat sharing, ward level coordination, and campaign responsibilities are expected to begin over the next 2 to 3 days, the sources said. The meeting also saw a discussion on a key organizational decision. The next title is Puducherry cricket body coach assaulted. FIR names local players. The article has been given by Lalit Kalidas, New Delhi, December 9. The under-19 head coach of the Cricket Association of Pondicherry, Venkatraman, was allegedly assaulted by three local cricketers. On Monday over their non-inclusion in the team for the ongoing national T20 tournament, Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. Venkatraman suffered a head injury and a shoulder fracture. Confirming the incident, Sub-Inspector S. Rajesh of the Sidarapet police station, where an FIR has been filed, said Venkatraman received 20 stitches on his forehead, but he is stable. The said players are absconding and they are trying to track them. Further details will be revealed in due course. Okay. The next title is Fifth Documents of Family Links Sonagachi Sex Workers Tackle SIR Fears. Given by Ravik Bhattacharya, Sonagachi, Kolkata, December 9. They are the nowhere people, but can they remain the somewhere voters? Clutching forms, some anxiously drawing a dupatta or shawl over their faces, and the sex workers of Sonagachi in North Kolkata queued up at three special camps decorated with flowers Tuesday, hoping they won't fall off the voter list in the ongoing special intensive revision drive in West Bengal. A voter card is a precious identity document for the women whose address, one of India's largest red light districts, counts for little when it comes to official records. 18 years ago, they were enrolled as voters for the first time on the basis of accounts they held in a local cooperative bank and its passbooks. The SIR doesn't recognize these documents, and so the fear of being disenfranchised, disenfranchised, and what that may mean is palpable at the camps. Already, the women say many, especially in brothels called Nepali Bari and Bangladeshi Bari, have left afraid of being singled and afraid of being singled out and deported. On Tuesday, Chief Electoral Officer Manoj Agrawal, who has been firefighting allegations against the SIR by the ruling Trinamool Congress, visited the special camps officially designated as meant for marginalized electors. Shashi Panji, West Bengal's Minister of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare, also dropped in to take stock. A 35-year-old standing in a queue at one of the campus pointed out that the option of establishing family links to previous voter lists, one of the ways to clear the SIR, was close to them. She was trafficked here. She was trafficked there when she was 16. Her family disowned her when she tried to return. She said they won't help her. Parent to a girl who lives in a boarding house run by an NGO. This 35-year-old is scared of losing her voting rights, but the officials have assured her they'll do something, she said. Another one, who is 30, claimed her voter card got cancelled a few years ago and she has been trying to get it remade. She voted in 2016, but in 2021, she was told her card had somehow got cancelled. When she heard that a camp had opened, she rushed there. A resident of building number 3, Sonagachi Lane, who is awaiting her turn, said many girls in her building who had no voter cards left out of fear when the SIR started. A 25-year-old standing in a queue at the camp set up at Kadamtala Club was worried about the space for address in the form. They stay on rent in small rooms. They stay on rent in small rooms with only a verbal contract with the landlord. They move frequently. There is no address record. Will her will their voter card be cancelled? Will her voter card Will her voter card be cancelled? She said that this apprehension was the reason she did not collect the enumeration form earlier. But now she is there to clarify things. She has an Aadhaar card, a PAN card, and a bank account like most girls there. A 50-year-old who no longer works in the sex trade and resides in house number 9 recalled being part of rallies in Kolkata to get voter cards for the women of Sonagachi. Now they are saying all these will be cancelled. She has come to check if that is the case. Questions tumbling out, she said. She does not have she do not have documents. She do not has documents of her parents. She was brought there at a young age and have had no contact with her family since. Sorry, and have had no contact with her family since. Her parents are dead and her brothers do not like her. But her son has a voter card. Will that be cancelled? CEO Agrawal said they are trying their best to include everyone. There are about 11,400 voters across 14 booths in Sonagachi. The first title of the State News of Maharashtra says Leopard attacks in rural areas, stray dogs in urban spaces. Government to hold MLA meetings. Given by Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 9. The Maharashtra government on Tuesday agreed to hold meetings with MLAs to address the growing menace of stray dogs in urban areas and leopard attacks on humans in rural areas. After legislators demanded strict measures during discussions on two separate calling attention motions on the opening day of the legislature's winter session in Nagpur. Urban Development Minister Madhuri Misra, in her reply on the calling attention motion over the issue of stray dogs, informed the Assembly in a written reply that the number of stray dogs in Mumbai is nearly 90,757 and the number of Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation shelters is limited to it. In municipal corporation areas, the total number of dogs is around 11.88 lakh, while the total number of shelters in all 29 municipal corporation areas is 105, the reply stated. BJP MLA Atul Bhatkalkar raised the need to have more shelters and asked if vacant plots would be used to set up shelters immediately. Misal provided details of how the government machinery is following the Supreme Court order. Legislators from all parties demanded to know the concrete measures that would be taken up. Shiv Sena UBT MLA Sunil Prabhu said that even the legislators are not safe from, from stray dogs when they visit the constituency. As the MLA continued with their demands, Misal announced that a meeting with concerned legislators would be held to discuss the issue in detail. Release goats worth rupees 1 crore into forest. Discussing the calling attention motion on leopard attacks on humans, State Forest Minister Ganesh Naik on Tuesday said he had asked that goats be released in large numbers in forests to stop leopards from entering human settlements in search of prey. If 4 people are killed in leopard attacks, the state must pay rupees 1 crore as compensation. So Knight told officials, instead of paying compensation after deaths, release goats worth rupees 1 crore into the forest so that leopards do not venture into human habitats. While replying to the calling attention motion, while replying to the calling attention motion raised by NCP MLA Jitendra Ohad on the issue of leopards attacking humans, as majority of cases are concentrated in Pune, Nashik, and Ahilyanagar districts. Naik said earlier they were they were described as forest animals, but now their habitat has shifted to sugarcane fields. The behavior and living patterns of leopards have changed. There are no fruit-bearing trees left in the forest areas, due to which leopard and other carnivores are venturing out of the forest areas. He has asked the forest officials to plant fruit-bearing trees which will keep the prey in the forest itself. He also informed the House that the state government has sent a proposal to the union government to omit the leopard from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2. Objecting to Naik's response, Nana Patole said, as a member of Lok Sabha in the past, he had served in a committee related to wildlife issues. He can assure that union government will not approve state's proposal to change the leopards from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2. Independent MLA Sharad Sonavne from Junar in Pune district said leopard menace is maximum in his constituency where 55 people have died in leopard attacks. There is a rescue center in his constituency. Its capacity should be increased. Naik said the state has decided to increase the intake capacity of the leopard rescue center in Junar. A new rescue center is also proposed in Ahilyanagar to curb the leopard problem. As all party MLAs continue to raise the issue, Revenue Minister Chandrasekhar Babankole announced to hold division-wise meetings with MLAs and forest and revenue officials to find out solutions to the issue. The next title is, if this continues, you will have to sit at home. CM loses school during opposition har. Article has been given by again Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 9. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis is warned both ruling and opposition legislators Tuesday about repeatedly bringing up the Mukhyamantri Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana while discussing unrelated issues during the Legislative Assembly question hour. If this continues, you'll have to sit at home, Fadnavis said in a stern voice inside the assembly. Ironically, he snubbed fellow BJP MLA Abhimanyu Pawar. The Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana is a scheme that provides eligible women aged 21 to 65 years who earn an annual income of less than rupees 2.50 lakh with rupees 1500 per month directly into their bank accounts. Abhimanyu Pawar, two, a two-term MLA who earlier served as Fadnavis' personal assistant, raised the issue of alleged illegal liquor distribution and made a passing reference to the Ladki Bahin's scheme. The chief minister immediately interrupted him and warned him. He has already asked members not to mention the Ladki Bahin Yojana while raising unrelated concerns at random. He said, leading to surprised silence in the assembly. Earlier during the question hour, Congress MLA Jyoti Gaikwad mentioned the scheme while debating the issue of the death of a woman doctor in Falton. It forced the CM to advise legislators not to link the scheme to every issue under discussion. Fadnavis asserted that the program was a major state initiative and should not be dragged into unrelated subjects for political purposes. The scheme will continue. It won't take it won't take away funds or resources from any other program, but no one should make unnecessary remarks about it, he said. The scheme was launched by the previous Mahayuti government led by Eknath Shinde, which provided every eligible woman with a monthly installment of rupees 1500. Although the scheme has imposed an additional financial burden on him. On the additional financial burden on the state exchequer. It's said to have played a significant role in Mahayuti's impressive victory in the 2024 assembly elections. Criticism from opposition allies. While the opposition has criticized the scheme in the past and even termed it a scheme to buy votes, it has also received criticism from ruling allies. In October, Minister and Nationalist Congress Party leader Chhagan Bhujbal said that the implementation of the scheme has affected other government schemes. Bhujbal said he feels that the expenditure on the Maji Ladki Bahin scheme is affecting the implementation of the Anandacha Shidha initiative providing ration kits because almost rupees 40,000 to 45,000 crore is spent on this scheme. Allocating for it will surely affect elsewhere. In addition, funds will be required to provide compensation packages to flood affected regions. Therefore, some things cannot be done this year. The next title is Handwriting in Deceased Doctor's Note Matches Her Own. Fadnavis. Again, the article has been given by Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 9. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis Tuesday said the handwriting in a note left by the deceased woman doctor in Satara district has been determined to be her own, and the people named in it have been found to be involved in harassing her. The doctor allegedly died by suicide on October 22nd. She was reportedly pressured to falsify certain medical legal reports. The doctor had written a note on her hand and two names were mentioned in it. The investigation has found that the handwriting matches her own. Fadnavis stated during the question hour in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly after BJP MLA Amit Satam, after BJP MLA Amit Satam asked whether the handwriting in the note was confirmed to be the doctor's. Satam also sought to know whether the two people mentioned in the note had a role in her death. Fadnavis said it has been found during the investigation. The police sub-inspector Gopal Badane, who has since been dismissed, sexually exploited her by promising marriage. It has been found that the second accused, Prashant Bankar, too cheated her. He stated that, however, they have ordered a judicial inquiry to probe whether any additional individuals are involved in it. adding that a woman IPS officer is also probing the case. The chief minister said it was unfortunate that efforts were made to politicize the issue. He further assured, he further assured the assembly that women's security was of paramount importance and the government is committed to ensuring it. Fadnavis added that the doctor was on an 11th month contract, so the government cannot consider giving a job to a family member of hers on compassionate grounds. He, however, assured that the government would extend maximum possible assistance to the family. Replying to a query on the implementation of the Shakti Act, Fadnavis said that the act has been returned to the state since certain provisions under it encroach upon the centre's powers. The bill, which mandates stringent action for crimes against women and children, was passed by the state legislature in 2021 and sent for the president's nod. The three new criminal laws deal with women's safety more effectively, he said, referring to the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita (BNS), Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita (BNSS), and the Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam (BSA). All the three articles mentioned on the first page of the State News of Maharashtra were written by Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 9. The first title of the World section says Zelensky refuses to cede land, rallies European allies. Given by Associated Press, Rome, December 9. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reaffirmed his firm refusal to cede any territory, resisting US pressure for a painful compromise with Russia as he continued to rally European support for Ukraine. Undoubtedly, Russia insists for them to give up territories. They clarify, don't want to give up anything. That's what they are fighting for. Zelensky said in a WhatsApp. Zelensky said in a WhatsApp chat late Monday in which he answered reporters' questions. Do they consider ceding any territories? According to the law, they don't have such right. According to Ukraine's law, the constitution, international law, and to be frank, he said, to be frank, they don't have a moral right either. In an interview with Politico released Tuesday, US President Donald Trump again pressed Zelensky to accept the US proposal that Ukraine cede territory to Putin, arguing that Russia retains the upper hand and that Zelensky's government must play ball. Zelensky met Tuesday with Pope Leo 24th at Castel Gandolfo, a papal residence outside Rome, and is to have talks with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni later in the day. The Vatican said the Pope reiterated the need for the continuation of dialogue and expressed his urgent desire that the current diplomatic initiatives bring about a just and lasting peace. The Holy See has tried to remain neutral in the war while offering solidarity and assistance to what it calls the martyred people, martyred people of Ukraine. Russia's top general Valery Gerasimov said Tuesday that Moscow's forces were advancing along the entire front line in Ukraine and were targeting surrounded Ukrainian troops in the town of Myrnohod. Myrnohod. In a command post meeting with officers of the center grouping which is fighting in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region, Gerasimov said President Vladimir Putin had ordered the defeat of Ukrainian forces in Myrnohod, a town with a pre-war population of some 46,000 people to the east of Pokrovsk. Russia had taken control of more than 30% of Myrnohod's buildings, Gerasimov said. Russia, which uses the Soviet-era name of Krasnoarmeysk to refer to neighboring Prokhorovsk, says it has taken the whole of the city and claims to have also encircled Ukrainian forces in Myrnohod, which Russians call Dimitrov. The next title is Putin does not want to restore the USSR, says Kremlin. Given by Reuters, Moscow, December 9. The Kremlin said Tuesday that European claims that Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted to restore the Soviet Union were wrong and that claims Putin plans to invade a NATO member were complete stupidity. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on Monday that Putin wanted to bring the old Soviet Union back and that Europe had to defend itself against what he said were clear Russian intentions set out, he said, in Russian state doctrines to attack NATO. This is not true, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters when asked about Merz's remarks. Vladimir Putin does not want to restore the USSR because it's impossible, and he himself has repeatedly said this. To talk about it is not respectful to their partners, Peskov said. Apparently, Mr. Merz does not know this. The next title is Fighting Spreads Thailand says do not use tariffs to force peace. Given by Reuters, Bangkok, December 9. The threat of tariffs should not be used to pressure Thailand to start talks with Cambodia and halt renewed border fighting. The Thai foreign minister told Reuters on Tuesday, underlining that it was up to its neighbor to de-escalate the conflict. Hostilities reignited on Monday after weeks of simmering tensions, killing at least 12 people and forcing hundreds of thousands to flee border areas, with both Southeast Asian nations accusing the other of firing the first shots. Sihasak Fuhangketkew said they do not think tariffs should be used to pressure Thailand to get back to the joint declaration, to get back to a dialogue process, referring to the Hands ceasefire agreement. He said you have to separate the issue of Thai-Cambodia relations from the issue of the trade talks. Monday's clashes have since expanded across much of their 817 km that is 508-mile land border with exchanges of heavy artillery and rockets. Trump has yet to comment on the renewed fighting, but an administration official on Monday said the president was committed to the continued cessation of violence and expects the governments of Cambodia and Thailand to fully honor their commitments to end this conflict. Meanwhile, Cambodia's Senate President Hun Sen on Tuesday vowed that his country would carry out a fierce fight against Thailand as the second day of widespread renewed combat between the neighbors drove tens of thousands of people to flee border areas. The next title is Over 2 lakh flee their homes rebels after Rwandan rebels advance in Congo. Given by Reuters, December 9. 200,000 people have fled their homes in eastern Congo in recent days. The United Nations said as Rwanda-backed rebels marched on a strategic town just days after Donald Trump hosted the Rwandan and Congolese leaders to proclaim peace. In a statement released late on Monday, the UN said at least 74 people had been killed, mostly civilians, and 83 admitted to hospital with wounds from escalating clashes in the area in recent days. Local officials and residents said the Rwanda-backed M23 group has been advancing towards the lakeside town of Uvira on the border with Burundi. The next title is Israel to reopen Jordan border crossing for passage of aid goods. Given by Reuters, Jerusalem, December 9. Israel is set to reopen the Allenby crossing with Jordan to the passage of goods and aid on Wednesday, an Israeli security official said on Tuesday. The border crossing has been closed opens new tab to aid and goods since September when a driver bringing humanitarian aid to Gaza opened fire and killed 2 Israeli military personnel before being killed by security forces. The security official said the crossing would have tightened screening for Jordanian drivers and truck cargo, and that a dedicated security force had been assigned to the crossing. The Allenby Bridge is a key route for trade between Jordan and Israel and the only gateway for more than 3 million Palestinians in the Israeli-occupied West Bank to reach Jordan and the wider world. A Hamas leader on Tuesday threatened to not move forward into the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement until more pressure is placed on Israel to open up a key border crossing, cease deadly strikes, and allow more aid into the Palestinian territory. The accusation came as Israel's government says it's ready to move into the next, more complicated phase of the ceasefire deal, even as it has called on the militant group to return the remains of the last Israeli hostage held in Gaza. Hussam Badran, a member of Hamas political wing, called for the full implementation of all the terms of the first phase before moving forward, including an end to what he called the continuing demolition of Palestinian homes in the part of the territory still controlled by Israel. Israeli operations in Gaza have resulted in deaths of at least 376 Palestinians since the ceasefire took hold, according to Palestinian health officials. The next title is Shockingly High Number of Children in Gaza Malnourished after truce, says UN. Given by Reuters, Geneva, December 9. Thousands of children have been admitted for treatment for acute malnutrition in Gaza since an October ceasefire that was supposed to enable a major increase in humanitarian aid, the UN Children's Agency said on Tuesday. UNICEF, the biggest provider of malnutrition treatment in Gaza, said that 9,300 children were treated for severe acute malnutrition in October when the first phase of an agreement to end the 2-year Israel Hamas war came into effect. While this is down from a peak of over 14,000 in August, the number is still significantly higher than during a brief February-March ceasefire and indicates that aid flows remain insufficient. UNICEF spokesperson Tess Ingram told a Geneva press briefing by video link from Gaza. It's still a shockingly high number, she said. The number of children admitted in 5 times higher than in February. So we need to see the numbers come down further. Ingram described meeting underweight babies weighing less than 1 kilogram born in hospitals, their tiny chests having with the effort of staying alive. Their tiny chests having with the effort of staying alive. They have seen some improvement, but they continue to call for all the available crossings into the Gaza Strip to be open, she added. There are not enough commercial supplies entering There are not enough commercial supplies entering Gaza, she added. The next title is Beijing court orders Malaysia Airlines to pay damages to Keen of MH370 victims. Given by Associated Press, Beijing, December 9. A Beijing court has ruled Malaysia Airlines must pay 2.9 million yuan, that's 410k dollars, each to the families of 8 passengers who went missing in the disappearance of Flight 370 more than a decade ago. The court ordered the airline to pay each family compensation for the death of their loved one, funeral expenses, and damages stemming from emotional distress, it said in a statement Monday. Although it's not known what happened, although it's not known what happened to the passengers, they have been declared legally dead. They have been declared legally dead. There were 239 passengers and crew members on the flight that disappeared after departing Kuala Lumpur for Beijing in 2014. Despite years of searches, it's unknown why the plane went down or what happened to the people on board. Most of the passengers were Chinese and their families in China have continued to seek answers. The court said that another 23 cases remain pending. In 47 other cases, families have reached. The next title is With Cheap Tickets and Lax Etiquette, a theatre builds an older fan base. Given by Max Kim, Seoul, December 9. The matinee was coming to a gruesome ending on the screen, but in the seats, casual conversation mixed with a salvo of ringtones, several of which resulted in long phone calls. Dozens of patrons wandered wandered in and out of the auditorium. One man stopped in the aisle to stretch, his puffer jacket emitting loud polyester swishes with every move. These are the rhythms of Hollywood classic an independent movie theater in Seoul that has a dedicated clientele. It's a sanctuary for people in their 60s and older, somewhere you can just sit and pass the time, said Kim Woo Boon, 81, who was sitting in the middle section. Everybody knows about this place. For the cinephiles, it's a place to catch long forgotten flicks on the big screen. For the nostalgia seekers, the lobby is a well furnished museum of life in post war South Korea, filled with filled with everything from vintage rice cookers to old children's textbooks, but most just come to hang out. A lot of people just come and sleep in their seats because they have nowhere better to be, said Kim, a retired foreman. Then they wake up and watch for a bit and then doze off again. The theater's target audience is rapidly growing. Years of falling fertility rates have turned South Korea into one of the fastest aging societies in the world. Last year, for the first time in the country's history, citizens in their 70s outnumbered those outnumbered those in their 20s. I repeat, last year, for the first time in the country's history, citizens in their 70s outnumbered those in their 20s. But older residents have scant options for leisure, said Harry Shin, a professor of gerontology at Kyung-hee University in Seoul. There is growing demand among older South Koreans for different forms of recreation, but their choices are still limited to simple activities like resting or going for a walk, she said. Movie going, in particular, is a young person's game. Just 0.8% of South Koreans 65 or older go out to watch movies, according to a recent government survey. The Hollywood classic, which first opened in 1969, was its heyday, a buzzing venue for the era's young and hip. Its claim to fame then was its elevator, a rarity in the country at the time. The emergence of multiplex franchises in the 1990s turned the theater into an offbeat attraction for a few years. In 2009, Kim Yoon-joo, a snappy, no-nonsense movie buff who has spent the better part of her career rehabilitating and running historic theaters in Seoul, took over its daily operations. It was in some ways an investment into his own future, said Kim, 50, who eventually bought the theater to prevent his older years from becoming barren and desolate. Many of the theater's current patrons come of age before South Korea became an economic juggernaut and remember movie going as a luxury. The theater, which has two screens with around 300 seats each, mostly plays a mix of studio era classics like It's a Wonderful Life and Rio Bravo and Korean films, both modern and old. While the theater sells hundreds of tickets every day, Kim said it loses money every year. She said that she sold her home to keep it afloat. I repeat, she said that she sold her home to keep it afloat. One reason is that the price of admission has been frozen at 2001, around $1.40 since the theaters launched in 2009. Those tickets work like an all-day pass. Customers can watch both of the day's offerings as many times as they want. But raising the price is out of the question, Kim said. Affordability is an important part of the theater's proposition, considering that about 4 in 10 South Koreans over 65 live in poverty. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, many do not even have to shell out to get out. Many do not even have to shell out to get to the theater, as subway rides are free for that age group, offering another way to pass the time. The next title from Sri Lanka is the next title is from Sri Lanka. UN to grant $4.5 million for cyclone recovery. The United Nations on Tuesday announced the release of 4.5 million US dollars from its Central Emergency Response Fund to assist Sri Lanka in recovering from the devastation caused by Cyclone Ditwa. Cyclone Ditwa has upended upended lives across the country, and many families are still struggling to meet their basic daily needs, said Marc-Andre Francis. Said Marc-Andre Francis, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Sri Lanka. He said the UN is working closely with government, civil society partners, and the humanitarian community in Sri Lanka to ensure a coordinated response guided by priority needs. Guided by priority needs. The next news from Pakistan: Hindu woman minor daughter kidnapped. A Pakistani Hindu woman and her minor daughter have been reportedly kidnapped by unknown gunmen in Pakistan's Sindh province, officials said. The incident took place on Saturday in the Sindh Mohalla in Shershah, Karachi. According to initial accounts provided by the family, the woman was taken away by 3 armed individuals who forced her into a white Alto car moments after she stepped out of her home. Shivakachi, a civil rights activist for the Hindu community, Shivakachi, Shivakachi, a civil rights activist for the Hindu community in the Sindh province, said the woman and her minor daughter were still missing. The next from Sudan, ICC sentences militia leader to 20 years for Darfur atrocities. Judges at the International Criminal Court sentenced a leader of the feared Sudanese Janjaweed, Zanjaweed, Zanjaweed militia to 20 years imprisonment on Tuesday for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in the catastrophic conflict in Darfur more than 2 decades ago. At a hearing last month, prosecutors sought a life sentence for Ali Muhammad Ali Abd al Rahman, who was convicted in October of 27 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity that included ordering mass executions and bludge ongoing two prisoners to death with an X in 2003-2004. He committed these crimes knowingly, willfully, and with enthusiasm, vigor, said Julian Nichols, Reuters. The next comes from United States. US Mexico to meet over water dispute. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Tuesday she expects to reach an agreement with the United States over a water dispute as Mexican officials will meet with their US counterparts later in the day. President Donald Trump on Monday accused Mexico of violating a treaty that outlines water sharing between the neighbors and threatened to impose an additional 5% tariff on goods from Mexico if it doesn't provide water, given by Reuters. And the last one by Kosovo. Three charged for canal explosion near power plant. Kosovo prosecutors on Tuesday charged three suspects over an explosion last year at a water canal supplying the country's two main power plants. The state's prosecutor's office said the suspects allegedly detonated 20 kilograms of TNT at the canal, damaging its concrete structure, cutting off drinking water, and disrupting the cooling system for coal-fired power plants, raising fears of possible power cuts. It said in a statement. That's all for today. Thank you for being here. See you tomorrow.